Hey, welcome. Hey, welcome to the Nursing Dose with your host, Farah, aka Dr. Laurent. Today, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the three biggest mistakes that nurse entrepreneurs make when they start their business. So, for those who don't know me, I've been a nurse for 20 years, nurse career coach for the last 4 years, helped over 200 nurses land their dream roles and make six figures, getting into specialty areas like the ICU, the emergency department, labor and delivery, even though they're told by recruiters that they need about a year or two to get these positions. I'm helping them get it in less than 12 weeks. So it's really a massive transformation that I'm providing these new nurses. All right. I've also been featured on multiple podcasts and media, such as The Jennifer Hudson Show, and my former background is an emergency nurse, education, and leadership. I'm also the host of Nurses Making Business Moves, a conference that's coming up in March 6th and 7th in Tampa, Florida. And it's especially designed for nurses who are interested in business, whether you want to start a business or scale your current business. So let me know where you guys are watching from. Put any comments or questions you guys have in the comment section, whether it's about transitioning from your career to how to start a business or any questions you have in general, just put them in the chat. All right, so let's get into it. So I'm going to share, like I said, the three biggest mistakes. And some of these mistakes I also made and kind of struggled with when I first started as a nurse career coach. So, really, number one, when nurses think about starting a business, they really think about starting the business, but not really thinking about the marketplace and really what the need is out there. So, number one mistake is they start with a title and not a problem to solve. So, a lot of nurses will say, well, I want to be a nurse coach or a consultant, and I want a business, but there's the lack of clarity. They're not really sure and clear what it is that they solve, what they do for the marketplace, which clients they want to serve, and what the real transformation is. So if you don't have that clarity, it's going to be very hard for you to actually attract customers, and it's going to be hard for you to create content or even, marketing that gets your potential audience or customers to come to you. So, what you need to do is exactly figure out, who are you helping? What are the pain points or the urgent problems that this specific audience has, and how do you solve it? And what's the results and transformations that you get for this potential client of yours, right? And instead, some of them can't really articulate what it is. So that happened to me when I first started. I had trouble really articulating what I did. So it's called your unique value proposition. And that really is like a one statement, 1 to 2 statements, really identifying what it is you do and how you do it and the results that you bring to your clients. So that is what you need to build the business around, and obviously do some market research. When we say market research, that means figure out from the market, is there an actual gap? What is the gap? So for me, it was new graduate nurses kept coming to me and asking me, hey, how do I interview? How do I create a resume or a cover letter? Or they were coming to me and saying, hey, I keep interviewing and I'm not getting the job that I want. So can you help me? So because so many of them kept coming to me, instead of just mentoring them, what I did is I created a business model around it as a nurse career coach. So in the beginning, what I did, I helped all nurses, right? It wasn't really specific, right? As I mentioned, the unique, value proposition was not that clear. So I used to help all nurses. I used to help nurses that wanted to go into leadership or education, or maybe they just needed guidance in their career. Some of them, came to me and said, well, I don't know if I should go back to school and get a DMP, all these things. But what I realized is my content was too broad, and I wasn't speaking directly to who I really enjoyed serving, and that was the new graduate nurse. Because essentially, I was helping my younger self. As a new nurse, I didn't have a nurse career coach, and I wish that I had a coach that could guide me through the job search, how to interview, what to say, what not to say, all these things. So, part of that market research is something called product market fit. And a lot of businesses struggle with this. And really, I'll just read you a quick definition. It's the degree to which a product or service satisfies a strong market demand. So that means whatever product you have or service, there needs to be a need for it out in the market, right? So obviously, I did research in the US. There's over 200,000 new nurses who graduate every single year, and they're struggling to get jobs, particularly in the California area, New York City, and these big metropolitan cities. They have a hard time getting the specialty areas that they want to get into, like the ICU, the emergency department, labor and delivery. So because there's residency programs that are very limited and competitive, I figured out a way, a strategy, a framework that is a proven system that helps them get there. And of course, it's not just about resumes or cover letters. I created a whole system and framework around it. And it takes them obviously through clarity as well, and how to interview, has to do a little bit with mindset work and also transforming their confidence. Because a lot of times it's not that they're not competent or they don't know, you know, specific questions. It's really the delivery and the confidence piece. So that's product market fit. You have to really understand the market and understand, is it going to be profitable? Are people going to pay you for your service? And is there a high demand for it? Okay. So that's really supply and demand. And then once you get clear on your target audience, so for me, instead of serving all nurses, when I started being specific about the new graduate nurses and started speaking to them directly in my content, they were like, oh, she's talking to us. Like, I can relate to her story. She's helped so many nurses. I want to work with her. That's specific target audience started coming to me really easily because in my content, and I was just clear on the unique value proposition. And really it sounds something like this. I help new graduate nurses in the California and New York area land their dream role in less than 90 days, making six figures. And with confidence, something to that effect. But it takes time to refine it. So that's number one. Okay. And then number two is they treat the business like a passion project, really, and not focusing on revenue and profits, right? One of the biggest mistakes that nurses make is they focus too much on, like, let's say, building a website, the logo. That happened to me when I first started. I was like, well, I need a website. I need specific logos, obsessing over the name and the colors and things like that. But I didn't really focus on the important things like lead generation, right? Pricing, sales, how to actually sell, the psychology of, how people buy, understanding buyer behavior, um, and really strategically figuring out how to get lead generation working. So when I say lead generation, that means you have to have a system in place, whether it's a weekly system. Content creation is one aspect of marketing. So, for 4 years, I've been creating content, going live every single week, which is part of brand building as well, but also visibility, right? People need to know that you actually exist, that you have a business. You need to talk about it, who you serve, what you do, so that they can actually eventually trust you enough to know what you do and want to work with you. So I started with content creation. That was one. The second thing is I now do a weekly webinar where I'm creating a structured way where they can come on a Zoom call. And if you're actually a new nurse and you're interested to come to this free webinar, I host it on Thursdays. So it'll be actually this Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. The link is in the bio. You can go to newnursejob.com and sign up for the webinar. And if you have any issues with that webinar, just direct message me on LinkedIn and I'll send you the Zoom link so you can register. So really, lead generation just means how are you showing up in front of the customers? How are you getting their contact information, whether it's their emails, their names, and how are you presenting your potential offers to them? And what value are you bringing to them so that they can actually learn about what you do, the services or the product that you provide. So for me, it's a group coaching offer. So I used to do one-on-one coaching with new graduate nurses and work with them for 12 weeks. And most of them would get jobs, sometimes as short as 2 weeks of us working together or a month on average, right? But I transitioned that model to a group coaching model. So basically now I do weekly webinars and then take them into an application process. And if they do meet criteria to be in the group coaching, that's how, we go on, on a call and I see if they're a good fit, how I can help them, and then they come into the group coaching. And one big thing that most nurses have trouble doing is the sales part. They're not sure how to price their offer, and they don't really know how to have the conversation about actually selling their offer or product. And really, they have a mindset issue around pricing and selling, and they need to think of it more as, the service. What service are you providing and how are you transforming this person's life? And then also think about value-based pricing. So I'll get into a couple of those things later this week, but this is what I wanted to focus on today. So really you have, on this step number 2, you have to figure out what is my offer. You have to have a really clear offer. So for me, like I said, right now it's group coaching. And the new nurses is the target audience. And how do I get in front of these nurses? I create content on TikTok, LinkedIn, multiple platforms, and I also live stream. And then I also do the weekly webinar. I go on podcasts. I have my own podcast. These are a few things that I do. And then also in-person events. Like the conference that I'm hosting, like I said, the conference is open to all students, nursing leaders, entrepreneurs, or anybody really that is interested in business. It's going to be happening March 6th and 7th in Tampa, Florida. And you can go to nursesmakingbusinessmoves.com and get your tickets. Okay, so that's number 2. And then number 3 is most nurse entrepreneurs, when they start, they just try to build alone. And they stay in the nurse thinking only or employee mindset. And then they also stay stuck in scarcity mindset. So, most of the time nurses are trained to be high performers, adaptable, kind of really figure things out, used to being overworked and undercharged and really just making it work, right? So most entrepreneurs, nurses, when we start, you don't really invest in coaching because you think, oh, I'm just going to figure it out. And you're not getting in the right rooms with other nurse business owners or other entrepreneurs. You don't really learn marketing or positioning or the importance of visibility, content creation. There's a lot of fear for some people with creating content. But really the best way to get in front of your audience is through video and content creation, video and live streaming. You can also have, short form video, newsletters and things like that. But really live streaming and video is going to be the best thing. And of course, live events. If you can meet people in person, that's going to be the easiest way to build trust. Okay. And then obviously strategic partnerships and relationships and things like that, going on other people's podcasts, things of that nature, publications, so that you can build up your credibility. So, I've been featured in, for example, the American Journal of Nursing, have written different blogs, articles, and that helps also with SEO, like searchability on the internet, and it'll help also with your business. I'll tell you a quick story. I met a nurse one time and she said she was a consultant and she had built a website, and her website was like done for 7 months, but she never shared the website with anybody. So I was like, well, you should go and create a post on LinkedIn and then share the website. She was too afraid to share it. So, those are the things: visibility and consistency, and getting your message out there and telling people you actually have a business. And you have to do that consistently. And that's part of lead generation. And also you can get referrals and things like that, other ways to get customers. And then, the thinking is, some nurses think, well, if you get more certifications, or, you get an MBA or something like that, yes, it can increase your knowledge. But if you don't take action, if you're not strategic, you're not in the right rooms, you're not visible, you're not creating content, you don't have lead generation, and you don't have a team, even if it's a small team to start out to help you, it's going to be very hard for you to grow and scale the business. And you really have to get into growth mindset, and stay away from scarcity mindset. A lot of nurses are afraid to invest. They think, well, what if it doesn't work? What if this coaching doesn't work, this program? But really, it's about stacking up your skills, learning, so that you can grow the business. And then you have to really stop thinking like an employee. All right. So really, this is really the reason I created Nurses Making Business Moves. Really wanting to bring business education to nurses who are interested in building a business or growing their business. At this conference, we're going to talk about marketing, sales, branding, mindset, pricing, all of these things that you struggle with. And then there's going to be experts there in those areas, and also other nurses who have built their businesses to 6 figures and also 7 figures, and really will teach you, they'll talk about their journey, mistakes to avoid, and really show you the step by step so that you can actually grow your business. And then really the real takeaways is, you can't really build without strategy, and you can't avoid selling, because you're not going to have a business. And you just have to reframe selling to like sales, to think about that you're serving the audience and serving your potential audience, and then really being specific about who you serve and what you do and the transformation that you bring. And you really have to get out of that employee thinking and move more towards growth mindset, and value-based pricing and those types of things. All right, so that's it for me. If you missed it and you just joined, just to wrap it up, like I said, the 3 biggest mistakes were, most nurses tried to just start a business with just the title alone, and then not having the specific problem they solve, which is the unique value proposition. That's number 1. Number 2, treating a business like a passion project and not a revenue engine. You need lead generation. You need a strategy. You have to have a specific sales method. Invest in yourself, invest in the business so that it can grow. And then number 3, you can't really do it alone. So again, I invite you to join us in Tampa, Florida, March 6th and 7th, Nurses Making Business Moves. I will drop the link below so you guys can get your tickets. And if you have any questions or comments, drop them in the chat. And I will be going live again tomorrow. So look out for that as well. All right. Thank you so much. And I will see you guys very soon. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any specific questions, and I might do a live about it next time. All right. Take care.